Welcome back to the Moose 1055. Grant Nichols hanging out here in the heart of Huntsville. Great to have you along. I enjoy this time of the morning as I get to have some interesting conversations with people from our own backyard and a little bit beyond. And this morning is no exception to that rule whatsoever. One thing that we all love about Muskoka, Huntsville, this area is the beautiful lakes, the swimming, the boating, enjoying the outdoors, but at times there is a risk with diving-related accidents that take place within our community, that take place within our lakes. Despite ongoing education by organizations such as the Red Cross, diving continues to be the leading sports-related cause of spinal cord injuries in Canada, with many diving incidents leaving the diver completely paralyzed from the neck down. I'm very honored to be speaking with Mr. Sloan Mandel, a partner from Thomson Rogers and a member of the Personal Injury Alliance. Good morning. How are you doing this morning, Mr. Mandel?
Great, Grant. How you doing?
Excellent. I'm doing okay. Now, it may be a surprise to some of our listeners to learn this, that diving causes more spinal cord injuries than any other contact sports such as hockey. Now, what kind of numbers are we talking about with these diving-related injuries?
Grant, in Ontario alone, we see close to 60 major spinal cord injuries per year from diving-related accidents, and we know that 90% of these incidents result in complete or incomplete quadriplegia. For the benefit of your listeners, that's an injury to the spine. It results in partial or total loss of use of a person's arms and legs. And we also know that this mostly happens to boys or young men between the ages of 17 and 22, more than half the time involving the use of drugs or alcohol.
And I would imagine with your years doing the work that you do, you've seen how much this can not only impact the victim that is at the unfortunate circumstance of this, but also their families and their friends and loved ones.
You're absolutely correct. It's rare for an injury of this type to be termed minor, and the impact is devastating both for the victim or the survivor as well as the family itself. The rehab process is a long and painful one. There's usually an inability to work, at least for a prolonged period of time, and there's the massive crush of the financial burden associated with lifelong future costs, care costs. So it really is a devastating type of injury to have, and it should be avoided and prevented at all costs.
Now, as far as people that own cottages, people that have resorts and stuff, what can cottage owners and different people do to help protect themselves from these incidents taking place?
Well, crazy fun can become a horrible tragedy in a matter of seconds, and like the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. All property owners have a legal duty to take reasonable steps to keep their property safe. All property owners, including cottagers, have to make sure that the activities that are being performed at their premises, their property, is safe. We know 95% of diving injuries occur in water 1.5 meters deep or less, so about 5 feet or less,
Wow.
in an unsupervised setting with no warning signs. That's preventable. We know that over half of the diving injuries and deaths involve alcohol and drug use. That's preventable. So, be safe, be responsible. If there's that unfortunate occurrence where an accident does happen, a preventable accident does happen, you can protect yourself by having adequate insurance. And most people don't, and it doesn't cost a lot to increase your liability limits, and that's something that all your listeners should look into.
If someone has unfortunately been injured in a diving-related accident, what do they do? How do they go about getting the help, the support? All those things that they will need.
Well, from the human side, first they got to take a breath, they got to collect themselves, and they got to lean on family and friends because it's going to be a long and arduous road back to normalcy. Secondly, then they got to call a qualified, and I stress the word qualified, personal injury lawyer. Grant, credentials matter. And when you've suffered a terrible injury like this, you're vulnerable, you're distracted. The last thing you want to do is hire a salesman to run your lawsuit. The lawyers of the three personal injury alliance firms, McLeish Orlando, Oatley Vigman, and my firm, Thomson Rogers, have a wealth of experience, enormous resource, and most importantly, industry respect. So I encourage your listeners to visit our website, become educated, go to pialaw.ca and check out our credentials. Hopefully they'll never need us, but if they do, they'll know where to look.
You know what I always like to say, Mr. Mandel, and I don't mean this in a light way whatsoever, but I'm constantly saying on Fridays and constantly saying here in Cottage Country that no matter where we go, no matter what we end up doing, we all need to remember to take a little bit of common sense with us, because at times we are all definitely guilty for forgetting that.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Thank you so much for your time this morning, Mr. Mandel, and once again, it was great speaking with you.
Great, my pleasure.